Welcome to the session, the IBM Digital Workplace Hub, and we want to talk about today, especially what you need to know about how to set up a real project with XCC and how this can add especially additional value, another USP to a connections project or another intranet portal or collaboration project. Because we here are basically not really technicians or sales guys. We are consultants running projects in this area for quite a while. And my role, for instance, is one that's basically not only telling the story about this product, this solution, I really have to tell this story to the end. So I've seen projects in the beginning and later stages and also fulfilled the role of project management in this project. So in the end, we'll give you more insights about how this can help you really get these projects successful somehow in some easy steps. Yes. And next to me is Anna.
Hi, I'm Anna Ruchis. I'm basically more into the training sessions for the digital workplace and collaboration solutions that we offer here. So basically once Jan has been doing some of the implementation work and the work on the project, at some point I join in and help with just offering training to the people who need it.
Yeah, so in the end, the time to act itself, we are a full service provider, 360 degrees of service.
Yeah.
Yes, and as you can see here, the first 3 sessions were mainly focused on the technology part of the Digital Workplace Hub. And today we will give you an overview how this technology can be used in terms of reasonable consulting in these projects, how it can be used to work in training sessions or just to keep these projects going. So in the end, the topics for today are basically strategy, the Universal Intranet strategy. Then we're talking a little bit more about user adoption, how we can make this more easy, some best practices from our training and enablement sessions and strategies. And in the end, of course, we will give you some hints of XCC best practices, how we can use the technology here to really build an integrated digital workplace in the end. But exactly. To start with, it's always important to know why we're doing this. So Anna, just give us a brief introduction in the topic that we are facing here, please.
Right, because what we'd like to stress here is this is not a sales pitch for the product. This is more of, we're trying to teach you about the human element, and this is social software, this is a social intranet, so the human element is the key element in it. And the first thing you're going to face is, once you have acquired all of this, once you have it set up and you have it running, is you have to touch the employees and you have to get them to use it, because otherwise it's completely useless. And in order to do that, you have to answer the employees' very first question, which is, what's in it for me? How do I profit from this? Now, this is fairly simple to answer. One of the main problems, one of the main challenges in any organization is that information is in silos. So that's what our little cartoon here is showing you, is everybody's working for the same organization, but what they are doing is separated into silos, and it's very hard to get out of these and make these connect and make these work together to be more productive and get more success out of everything and out of the company. The next thing is, and that's the challenge that I just mentioned, is how do you get these silos to work together? How do you connect them in a meaningful way, and not have them work side by side and maybe work in a more redundant way?
And this is basically our job in the project. We are kind of these guys on the tunnels here.
Exactly. We're the ones building little tunnels between the silos and helping others get through those tunnels and into each other's places. Now, the problem with the silos, as I just mentioned, is redundancies. So what we often see with any company that we work with is that different departments, different divisions will be working on something, will be finding a solution for something. It'll work, but the problem is, what if the next division has something similar? and they need to know about something, and they have to go through the entire process again, and basically they're reinventing the wheel every single time they go through a process. Now what we want to do is we want to change that. We want to invent the wheel once and then be able to use it over and over and over again. This social intranet solution that we're providing you is the ideal that we have is always to have it be sort of the brain of the company that everybody is connected to, and all the little synapses working together and creating synergies and making accessing information and finding all these experts about stuff much, much easier. So you don't have to be doing everything all over again all the time, but you can just pinpoint who and what you need within the organization and have it work to your advantage. Now, one of the biggest silos that we encounter all the time is emails. And emails, we always feel like we tend to think they're very practical, and they are definitely practical for some instances and for some types of communication, but they're not necessary for a whole slew of things that we're doing on a daily basis. And so the example we're showing you here is basically you're sending out an email to a certain distribution list, say you're sending something to 5 different people, and then people begin working on it, and they send you feedback from it, and it goes on and on and on, and you start having all these forward, and then good luck finding anything and knowing what the current version of any file is. Good luck trying to onboard somebody who may be new to the project, and then he has to dig through all that stuff and find the one email that will maybe get him up to date. So we're trying to break down this kind of email chaos and get people to, and we spend a lot of time on email, so we try to lessen that with the social intranet that we have, and we're trying to get people to talk to each other in a much more direct way to achieve all that. So what we're working on is this. This shows you exactly what we want. We want connections between people, first and foremost, and then connections between what these people are producing and what these people are doing in terms of documents, information, content, and all of that. But the key element, again, here is people. Connections, we always say, is about people, which is why we have this beautiful little slogan prepared for you. And the great thing about anything is your most important resource in any type of company is the people you have, because people have the knowledge, they have the ideas, they have the problems, but they create stuff, they create discussions, they make decisions, they have processes that they work through, they put content out and they they put it out and they give it, and it's just a whole the whole thing about the social intranet and about the Time to Act Universal Intranet is that it's not centered on the files and the documents that you may be working on, but it's centered on how people work and how people feel and how we instinctually connect with each other and how we instinctually communicate and collaborate with each other. And it's all based on stuff that we already know and do, maybe on other social media and the web. Trying to get to the next one. Yeah. And so the biggest thing that we encounter is people ask questions. They ask a lot of questions. And the system is designed to help answer that. But one of the very first questions that we're going to try to answer is, what is connections? As in, what is even there for you? Then how do I use it? Because how do I use it is going to be the key element to getting people comfortable and getting them working in the system and not, working in all kinds of different places and having that information be split apart again. And the biggest question, why should I care? Why should I, as an employee, care about this new tool again? And that's where Jan will be taking over a little bit. He will tell you why you should care.
Because especially in the early stages of these projects, when the consulting and the first workshops is starting, all the customers always ask us, what is the feature of the product? Why should we use this product? And then we are starting to build these, Excel sheets and go inside of all these features and functions and build check marks and cross them and so forth. Yeah. And there's so much in detail there that a reasonable comparison, especially against the other vendors, is not reasonable at all. And in the end, we discovered that the IBM portfolio, and especially the IBM Digital Workplace Hub in total, totally sticks out when you discuss the why. When you really discuss first why you should care at all, why you should take all this effort in this project, and what's your top priority here. Because in the end, of course, this is nothing new. This is basically the golden circle by Simon Sinek here. And this basically shows that the most important stuff in this center is always the why. And just go one or two steps back, the majority of the projects is always facing still the what. So in the end, what we are trying today is give you an idea how you can build up better arguments in your project strategies and just to make better projects in the end, not only with an integrated solution, as we also try to be as integrated as possible in our project approach and strategies as well. So first of all, we should discuss why should I care? Why should anybody care for such a system? And in the end, it's just about the individual evaluation of such a possibility. Yeah. Everybody is taking account what's the benefit, what is the effort, what is the cost here. And if they come to the clue that there's a high effort and cost for them going in such a system, but no benefit at all, when this is not visible for them, you have no chance at all, no matter how cool your tool will be. And this is something where we are trying to be. We want to be a totally transparent and obvious beneficial solution somehow. This is where really as well the digital workplace hub kicks in, because it is so obvious how this brings information together, how this aggregates all this stuff, and how this brings together a reasonable solution to use and not just only a cool tool. And this is in the end, of course, each use case evaluation can go through this process. And in the end, of course, we are doing this with our customers a lot. When we are discussing how can we bring together these silos for you, of course, we have to discuss sometimes in workshops, but sometimes with broader strategies, what's the why in it? And that's why in the end, a variety of companies are starting to produce these teaser videos or even campaigning for their portals. But in the end, wouldn't it be cool if such a system explains itself somehow? And this is something that is coming up with Connection 6. The touch point is totally integrated somehow now, but we are doing this with XCC already for years and offer even more capabilities with the Onboarding Wizard. So what you can see here, this is the core idea of the Onboarding Wizard. It detects whether the customer or the user has already been logged in and connected to the system, or is it the first login attempt here? And then on the first attempt, this guided tool will appear. You can totally rearrange the sections or the functions of this section, and this is something where we are starting the experience for the customer. Here we can place why they should use such a system. Here we can place the tone from the top as well. So here the first sentence could be from this is Felix Binsack. You have probably heard of him. And this is something where the CEO as a chairman can just stand out and say something about the tool. And this is not only something that should happen in the first place. It would be ideal if we can provide some sort of a continuous delivery of tone of the top here. And another good use case of XCC could be such a CEO office, for instance, where the general management committee or whatever it is called in your organization can speak for themselves, can present their teams, their ideas, their innovation campaigns, or even maybe something innovative such a lunch with me program. Whatever it is, you can bring as well your management teams inside of such a dialogue-oriented system and use them somehow to make the tone from the top, from the beginning to the end, as clear as possible.
Yeah, and that's a really important point here, because in our experience with any of the projects we've done that have been successful, it was always, always, always a key element to have the CEOs and anybody who's in management and who's in some kind of leadership position to actually reach out in this way, but not just reach out and say stuff, but show it and be a role model for the system. Show that they are using it, show that they approve of it, and show that they love it and they want everybody else to work in it as well. Because without that kind of role model, why should any employee go, oh yeah, this is, I want to work with this, if the CEO himself isn't using it? Then that doesn't make any
Yeah.
sense to them. So we always encourage any type of leadership position to be really involved in the process and to really just dig in and be a part of all of this, and because that will pay off on the long term immensely.
Yes. So what we are basically seeing here, we are not only providing change stories and communication possibilities with the Digital Workplace Hub, we can integrate them and bring them in the stage where they need to be and in the place and design what they should look like. So let's go further to the how discussion on this topic, because of course now we have understood how we can transport the why somehow to the end user, but how do I use it is pretty different to pinpoint, because all employees are basically different. We have, this curve probably, this is also nothing too new, but we have just to differentiate between the early adopters, the early majorities, and of course we have so many conservatives and skeptics in the organizations, and this has to work for all of them. And in the end, if we are only providing this cool feature-rich tool of IBM Connections where you can do so much and learn so much, of course, the technology enthusiasts, they will applaud. But in the end, all the conservatives and skeptics that will probably start more passively will be totally overwhelmed. Totally classic in the project. So in the end, we have this kind of an adoption curve, natural flow. In the end, of course, we don't want to say that we are all monkeys today or that we want to sit naked in front of the computer in the future, but there is a curve for everybody, and you can probably point down on which point you are already in terms of your internal communication, the organization. And we want to give each employee the chance to go to their individual next steps. So the step from ignoring to just reading is the first one that everybody takes. And this is difficult when you are directly overwhelmed from Orient Me, the stream function, everything is floating around. In the first glance, you probably need more guidance and more prepared look and feel for you. And this is already something where the XCC kicks in. And then we offer the possibility from this natural point of view of this adoption curve to go further, to start recommending, commenting, creating stuff, and then go deep inside of the collaboration part of IBM Connections. Everything is there, but in a reasonable in reasonable stages, basically.
Yeah, and if we could just go back one slide, something that I'd like to add to that is that the people we have at the beginning, the people you see, the early adopters, the early majority, all these kind of things, again, this is where it shows that, again, people are the key element here, because once you get these technology enthusiasts, once you get these visionaries to really work with it, understand the system, see what the benefits are, then they are the ones who will actually transport that enthusiasm and transport that knowledge of the system and how it works to the next step. They will be the ones who will be convincing the pragmatists, and the pragmatists, with any luck, will be convincing the conservatives. And the pragmatists and the conservatives, they are the ones that are basically the most difficult to convince of all of them. But they can be convinced if somebody can show them that there's some kind of added value and some kind of benefit to their work environment if they do it. And that's one of the things that we work on the most.
Yeah, and this brings us to some strategy examples. Of course, as this is a huge system, sometimes training is just the ideal way to give all the employees such a head start. But in the end, especially in larger organizations, you need to scale more than just with individual presence trainings and stuff. So what we basically do is here, of course, we do web-based training like this one for larger audiences as well. But we want to form help and support communities that are really working. And as the help and support community itself is based on IBM Connections communities, normally you need to know how connections work first before you can enter these communities. So this is something that we are using as well with XCC, just to simplify as well these help and support areas, to prepare more of an organized overview of learning centers and stuff just to make
That's
this
right.
curve here naturally more natural as well.
Yeah, and the help and support community is like it's a feature inside the social intranet, and people can join it right from the start. And that's when they, even if they're just reading it, they will get a feel of how it works and and how the system is starting to work there. So we encourage everyone to actually set up such a community in their individual social intranets.
Yeah. But of course, Connections changes not only the way that we work together, it basically changes the tasks and jobs that are required in terms of internal communication professionals and the so-called upcoming community managers, portal topic owners, and so forth. So in the end, especially these guys that are not only posting stuff inside of the intranet, the organization part that really should take care of the intranet, just find out what's discussed there, manage the content somehow. These guys as well need help, and how we can help, especially these new upcoming intranet teams doing their job, facilitating all these cool collaboration efforts inside of the platform, is something that we can support with XCC as well. So what you see here is an internal communication dashboard that we can build up with the same techniques that we're using for the Internet portal, but just as an internal tool. And what you see here is basically an aggregated view out of our widget technology that brings together the overview for the upcoming tasks on certain topics or special interest news that has to be produced or has to be integrated, some quick links to important sources of information for this team, or we can directly integrate an analytics area here with, the common stuff of the most visited articles, most commented stuff, or even analytics like Cognos or something else that is just directly flowing inside of this dashboard, just as a working tool for this certain group of people. But in the end, if they're doing their job better, the whole facilitating process of the collaboration solution in total will be increased. And in the end, of course, now we have talked about why we should use and go deeper in such a system, and also for the employees should be clear that it's a reasonable choice to take the effort here. We have discussed a little bit on how we can support the process and the people involved in this process here, but in the end, of course, let's face the facts as well. Let's go a little bit deeper in what is the Time to Act Universal Intranet, or the so-called Digital Workplace Hub, really. And in our opinion and view, as we are doing also connections-only projects, this basically gives us more choice, control, and possibilities. So if we're setting up, this is a standard Connection 6 environment, totally empty, but you'll see here, this is something that you're probably well known from your 5.5 systems as well. You're starting with an empty, the blank page problem. You have to bring in content first, and you have to get your users used to this brand new look and feel. This is really a large step. What we're doing then is basically, of course, we're starting to customize a little bit the look and feel of our of the systems here, but we are integrating this new house symbol here on top as well. And if the first content is kicking in, and you will see the stream is flowing and flowing, this is pretty overwhelming for users in the beginning, because it takes some while just to get used to the mechanism of following somebody, of sharing information, on how to push and pull information and so forth. So that's why we have changed the strategy, that this isn't anymore the standard default homepage. We have simplified this with the XCC intranet dashboard and homepage here. And this one shows the same information basically. Everything that you see here is based on blog articles or files or links, wikis, whatever it is outside of IBM Connections directly. So no other web content management system. But for the user, the first glance and the first login attempt, it's way easier to process and way easier to browse around content-based navigation that guides me around through important communities and so forth. So in the end, this is a more natural way of going inside of this adaptation curve that you normally see and expect here. So what we are basically doing, of course, in the core as well, our Universal Intranet concept is facing the people at the heart of the project. And we are doing the same like Connection because it's the core system. We are linking people to their communities, fellows, colleagues, projects, divisions, and so forth. But it is not only important to make these communities and communication strings to be attached together, we want to integrate as much technology as we can as well. And this is really important because we don't have only the silos in terms of location and so forth. Technology is really a struggle for the majority of employees as well. And as we can integrate us already with Connections a lot, with XCC, these possibilities are way more enhanced than only with Connections.
Absolutely.
And if we go down to the components of Connections, you'll see this is a lot to explore for new users, and this is a lot to learn in the beginning. Not only the enterprise social network logic, core functions, how they really should be used and can be facilitated somehow. All the applications are sometimes really confusing, when to use what and so forth. So that's why we're using the Universal Intranet just as a bracket, as something that brings this complexity together again and to make a more natural core for the employee and just to make the choice and beginning and overall appearance more integrated and simply better. Because in the end we experience there's a symbol that we can always use just to explain the core principle of our system. Of course, with IBM Connections, we are entering a new kind of collaboration. We are sharing more. We have this horizontal layer of communication and collaboration, and this is fascinating, totally. But we are not getting rid of the structure and organizational parts of the organization. So we need this kind of top-down strategic communication as well, at least at a certain degree. And in the end, we have to integrate them as good as we can. Two separate systems are always going to die because so much effort, so complex, and this is why we need to integrate them like with the IBM Digital Workplace Hub. And in the end, this is not totally done if we are not able to integrate all the business processes, all the stuff that the people have to do. So this, in the end, is not a system that you use extra. This is a system that has to be the core of your daily work. Then the job is done.
And that's the only system you have, because as Jan was saying, you have people working on all kinds of different stuff and they're using different technology. But what we're providing and what's really special about this is there's just one single point of truth. People will never have to leave the platform to use all of these things that you just saw next to our big bracket. They will never have to go anywhere else to find all of these features, work with all of these tools. And so what our brain here shows is that social intranet is supposed to become sort of the hub, the brain of the company, and the one place and the one and only place people will probably need to work in. So that's really something that we'd like to stress is that once you know how you can work with it, it's so simple because you know where to find things and it's all in one place.
Yeah, and in the end, if you're doing just an IBM Connections project, you're having just 1/3 on the plate compared to the IBM Digital Workplace Hub in total. Yeah. And all the openness that this already delivers and to integrate other systems as well. And in the end, of course, the what strategy should be focusing as well, the integration of silos. And in this term, of course, we're doing a lot of building special function communities, news channels, or documentation solutions, and so forth. What we are doing here, we are not only focusing them totally isolated, we want to bring these together. And Connections can be one way, of course, how the information can be pulled out of the system and can work really fluently in terms of communication and collaboration. But in the end, this can be more structured and organized and reworked, designed, and so forth if you're integrating time-track XCC as well. So in the end, you don't have only the appearance of Connections and the full cloud solution. This is already pretty powerful. In the end, you can go one step further, integrate more conceptual, information architectural functionalities here, bring together an integrated navigation bar and use just the power of the XCC to really make an integrated digital workplace hub that reaches out to every other source that you have integrated in your digital workplace environment in the organization. And in the end, for us as a resume, this is not only cool to work with, of course, we are doing this by our own. This is the same core feature and system in our organization,
Yep.
but it totally helps us to do our job to implement a reasonable digital workplace somehow, because the tool itself is always not the purpose. We are trying to solve problems, and this integrated solutions totally helps us to make an integrated, all over the place working solution here.
Yeah, all in one place.
All in one
Not
place.
all over the place.
Yeah, all in
That's
one
what
place,
we're
of
trying
course.
to avoid.
Yeah, of course. And in
Yeah.
the end, this brings together that we can answer in the end all these three important questions to our customers and all parts of the organization somehow. And in the end, then this will be a successful story and not only a cool feature.
Exactly, and it's the story. It's the people who matter most, and it's the people are the ones we need to make understand and make want to work in the system. And they can only do that if we explain the why first, and then get to the rest, and then get to the technical solutions.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. This is our round trip around the why, how, and what we can do with the IBM Digital Workplace Hub. Do you have any questions so far that you want to discuss now in the end of the session? Is there anything that we should bring up to the stage here and discuss together?
We're happy to address anything we can. No?
All right, then
We'll
thank you
take
very
this as
much,
a no.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks for the session and have a nice day all over the globe.
Have a nice
Goodbye.
day. Bye.